Yes, I wanted to, one of the things that I'm kind of like really going on here, especially lately, is the realization of knowledge that is available to us, that we're exposed to, that we know about, that we don't actually integrate, and therefore we can't really use it across the board, so to speak, or we can't really use it in other areas of our life to develop tools or to develop better ways of doing things, I guess you might say. But and what I'm referring to here specifically is not only the understanding of the power of the mind in terms of our thoughts, desires, emotions, intentions, intuitions, that type stuff, but in realizing how we actually create experience based on it. And part of it comes from models that are presented to us that are not entirely accurate, so they kind of, while they kind of inform us with some pretty cool stuff in one sense, they also kind of like throw us off or mislead us in another sense. But because it's like new knowledge or whatever, and we're not like educated in the full scheme of things, we tend to just take one person's opinion, one approach, one technique, one way of doing something, and we perceive it as the knowledge itself. And it's not. It's just one way of looking at the knowledge. It's one way of going about it, or one way that we can actually use it to bring into expression somehow. But it doesn't, because it's not fully the truth, it kind of eludes us at the same time. And what I'm pertaining to basically is the power of the mind to create experience. Okay, what some people call manifesting, and what the secret went on in terms of helping us to understand the power of our own thoughts and emotions. But and here's the reason why I'm talking about this, okay, is that we kind of got it, some people kind of got it, and they grabbed onto it because they wanted to manifest stuff, right? So we liked that idea, so we grabbed onto it, and we kind of like brought it into practice in our life in terms of manifesting what we want, so mostly stuff, right, which is kind of what it appealed to. But then, as soon as we got out of the process, maybe we devoted 10 minutes a day to it, 15 minutes a day, maybe we did it 2 or 3 times a day, who knows what our commitment was, but we saw it as something that we just practiced, and then we went on about the rest of our day. And many people didn't realize, they left it behind, and they didn't bring that same knowledge into all areas of their life and understand that the same principles are operating in all of our experiences, not just when we're busy trying to manifest something. And the reason that I want to really talk about that here is because even the people that grasp this stuff at a certain level will turn right around in the next moment and engage in ideas, prophecies, conspiracy theories, different ideas out there. And it's not that we don't want to be aware, because awareness is the name of the game, right? We absolutely want to become aware of deceptive things and aware of making intelligent choices. And we want to be able to prepare, forewarned is forearmed, that type of stuff. We want to be prepared for a form of anticipating the future, so to speak, right? Because that's what smart people do. But at the same time, we don't want to just dwell in stuff, because our thoughts, emotions, intentions, desires, urges, longings, cravings, all that stuff has a vibratory frequency to it, okay? And while we're thinking those thoughts, imagining those things, having the emotional reaction to our own thoughts and our own imaginations, we are cultivating that vibratory frequency in us. We become the tuning device for it, okay? We become a beacon that sends off the signal of that vibratory frequency, which does two primary things, okay? One is it becomes the lens through which we look, which determines what we see, right? Because when we form a belief about something, we get heavily invested in an idea, especially one that has a huge emotional component to it, which most of these ideas do. As we look out into reality, we only see, and what that means when I say we see everything, of course, but we only notice and put our attention on, abstract out of the situation, so to speak, what complies or forms a correspondence to our vibratory frequency, or our emotional quality and the story that expresses, or that's involved with. So we only see what is of the same nature as the vibratory frequency that we're looking at the world through. And the other component to that is that vibratory frequencies stimulate other vibratory frequencies of the same nature. Okay, this is the basic form of resonance. So, and this is true for like beliefs, emotional, stories that we engage in, things that hook us, and we give a lot of, we invest a lot of ourself in, as far as like the stories that we tell. And stories have themes, right? Stories are expressions that are thematic, okay? So we might be heavily invested, for example, in a story about betrayal. And we have a firm belief in betrayal, that we're going to be betrayed, that's what, people do, and blah, blah, blah. Because let's say we kind of were raised in a situation where that was going on, and then we naturally went out and produced a relationship where that's what took place, because without realizing, of course, that because that's what our vibratory frequency was vibrating, and so we only attracted people who offered us betrayal, right? Because themes are dynamics that have story potential in them. They have a story potential that all people that are attracted to it are of the same vibratory quality, which means that they're perfect to act out the same type of, they're different players in the same pattern, the same dynamic, and they act to create an experience of a certain theme. Okay, and themes are, betrayal, abandonment, not being good enough, being used and abused, or, who knows, but that's kind of what a theme feels like. And so we lend ourselves to dwelling in these ideas that we actually don't want. First of all, you want to notice that, right? This is the very thing that we're dreading and we're trying to avoid and stay away from, when actually we're cultivating ourselves to that, tuning ourselves to that vibratory frequency. And not only is that going to determine what we see and notice in our environment as we walk through our life, we stimulate that in our environment and it starts talking to us, right? It interacts with us. So, and I want to point out that how a vibrational frequency works through what we call resonance is that what's happening when we're stimulated by somebody is, and this is also the same thing that's taking place with like love at first sight and those like encounters with people that are just instantly intense. This is what's happening at the energetic level, is two frequencies of the same nature or very close to each other, okay? Because we don't really attract or really don't notice things that are too far out of the range. So this is within a range that's very close to our vibratory frequency. Comes together, they actually, instead of deflecting the vibratory frequency, which means they don't even notice each other, or nothing happens, there's no chemistry, there's no reaction, there's nothing stimulates me about a situation or a person, is because we're of different vibratory frequencies. But when it comes together with the same vibratory frequency, it literally enters into us just as we enter into it, and it moves us, it vibrates us, so to speak, which is what the reaction is. That's what the chemistry is. We call chemistry is our reaction. We react to something and it forms an interaction because we have entered it and vibrated it too. So now we're both responding to each other through a reactive state that becomes a form of interaction. So when we move out into the world and we come across ideas that we need to be aware of, so we need to pay attention, right? But we don't need to dwell there, so to speak, or use all of our creative power to cultivate ourselves to be the tuning device that creates a certain vibratory frequency of that reality or of that emotional quality, because most of the emotions that are attached to the ideas nowadays are scary. They're not good emotions, they're toxic emotions. And not only do they feel toxic when we're having them, because they create fear and dread and anxiety and stress and feelings of hopelessness and helplessness, all that type stuff, which is clearly not a good thing. But we actually become a beacon to attract to us, to not only see that everywhere we look, but we attract that to us, and we create experiences of it. Okay, we create experiences that give us the same feeling. Okay, that's what vibrations do. I attract somebody of the same vibration, we enter each other, vibrate each other, begin a chemical reaction to each other, and then the experience that we have together gives us more of, expresses, in other words, that same feeling quality. So we act out a dynamic that's based on the emotional quality that form the vibratory frequency, and we create experiences of it. We express it as experience, and we obtain it through experience. But it basically gives us the same experience that motivated it or that birthed it. So we have to pay attention to this, because we can unknowingly get hooked into things and begin dwelling in them, thinking about them, and then having all kinds of experiences of them. We don't even realize that we're doing it. Okay, lots of suffering comes from this very idea. We don't realize that we are actually creating the suffering and the experiences because we have tuned ourselves to that vibrational frequency, and that is what is determining everything that kind of gathers in near proximity of us, that we first see, abstract, interact with, and create dynamics out of. So train your mind. I mean, look at this stuff for the factual reality so that you can make, like I said, intelligent decisions about it, and so that you can kind of prepare yourself for the possibility, so you're not caught off guard, so to speak, or you're not just unknowingly engaging in stupid stuff or dangerous stuff. But don't dwell there, don't live there, don't cultivate it inside of yourself as an emotional, quality that forms a vibration. Instead, train your mind to the emotions that you want to have, the kind of experiences that you desire. Dwell there, imagine it, picture it, create a sensory reality out of it as if it's happening, and that will cultivate, develop, tune you to that vibrational frequency, and that is what you're going to attract. And that's what you're going to have experiences of, and that's what you're going to get more of. So learn how to bring it into application across the board, not just in a couple of areas, but in all areas of your life, as a major tool for learning how to manifest, express yourself in desired ways. So I just want to kind of point that out, because I see a lot of otherwise intelligent people who are just going headstrong into all the doom and gloom that's being built around stuff, and they don't even realize that when they do that, they're in the process of co-creating it.